Welcome, everybody, to Beard of Darkness book reviews, where I do more book reviews in 2024 than I did in 2023, and more interviews than I do anything. I'm so excited to be here with Adam Holcombe. How are you tonight, brother?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I have to tell you, Michigan is winning the national championship, and it has been like 30 years. We've been beaten by Ohio State for many years in a row. I've gotten criticized. I've gotten all sorts of stuff. I'm just happy they're winning, but I'm more excited to be here with you to talk about your book, your novella. I hear so many people talking, including one of my favorite channels of all time, Kay's Hidden Bookshelf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard just was reading that now.
Yeah. So tell us all about it. The subgenre, the blurb, your target audience, all the fun stuff.
Yeah. So here's my book.
Beautiful.
Copy set aside. Necromancer Called Gam Gam is fantasy. I'm always hesitant to say cozy fantasy, but some people say it is, some people say it's not, because it does hit a little close to home for dealing with loss and grief. So depends on how well you handle those things, on if it's cozy or not. But my target audience, man, I'm terrible at marketing. I never know what my target audience is, so I guess
Fantasy
I just throw
lovers?
it out there and hope for the best, kind of write for what I want and hope other people enjoy it. Bert says it's cozy. Okay.
He's a very reliable source, and I have to say, a couple other people, I have to throw them up, man. We've got a bunch of comments. I know you can see them.
Yeah.
Man, it's so beautiful. I'm so happy you're all here. H.C. Newell was one of the first. I think she, other than E.O. Montague, who is one of my moderators who's always here first, right? H.C. Newell, sorry, I didn't mean to add an S to your name. She says, Adam is mine. I have claimed him. I feel like his wife would probably have something to say about that.
She'd probably be okay with it.
I
Tries to return me to the husband's store all the time. So
she says the Minion Army is growing. Tim McKay, another wonderful indie author I've had on the channel. Fine, I'll update it. Oh, sorry, out of context with that. Let's see. Bert Strubble, of course, we just threw him up here. Christopher Brand, thank you for being here, man. We had a wonderful conversation not too long ago as well. Hey, there's you. Look at you, man. It's funny. A lot of times I have people who, it's probably my fault. I should probably tell people that you can see and comment away with the people. And I am doing that. Timothy Wolf. Hey, everyone. My man, Timothy Wolf. I'm so excited for him. He's got a beautiful cover for his book 3.
Yeah.
Dude.
I'm very excited to delve into his series.
Yeah.
It's on my radar for sure.
Book 1 is amazing. I'm getting ready to do a review on it. I know Timothy's been waiting a while for that. Let's see who else is here. Ryan Skeffington, man. Oh, I'm in the middle of his book. I've made it to the middle, 50%, Ryan. I'm a slow reader, but I'm in the middle of your book and I'm loving it. One of the other channels I really enjoy, I just had him on the channel as well, is Biblio Theory. He's doing a wonderful thing, man. And he has a great review of his book, Lost Souls, on his, it's just bibliotheory.com. It's his blog website. Josh Walker. Yo, how's everyone going? We're doing good, man. Thank you for being here. Also reading his book at the same time. Kevin from Silverstone's Books. Man, it's always so lovely to see all these people here. What
So
worse?
people. Hello.
Yes, it's so wonderful. Bex Beggins, Gram is my jam. I like that. That's like a blurb, right? On the back.
Yeah, perfect.
From Bex Beggins, Gram is my jam. I totally love that. So where are some of the inspirations for you personally? I love this. Did they just, influence you to write about a necromancer named Gam Gam, called Gam Gam?
Yeah, actually, this is an interesting one for me because most of my ideas, I can't really hammer down where an inspiration comes. It's just like kind of all bleeds together, but I can trace this one exactly how it was made. So I'm big into playing D&D, but I'm my group's forever DM. So I constantly come up with characters that I can never play because I'm the DM for them. And one of them was a necromancer, an old lady necromancer who was like the grandma of the party. And her entire goal was to resurrect her grandchildren. So she raised their bones and carried them around. And I was going to make her super nutty and insane. That has changed a lot to this iteration. Um, but I actually made an offhand comment when people were talking about it's like a anthology where there were uh unlikely heroes were actually unlikely heroes. They weren't like just said that they were because they were this farmhand or whatever. But like an old lady, for example, which was mine. I'm like, oh, I had this D&D character idea, and then I got berated by a lot of people to make it into a story, um, which I didn't have an idea for. But I'm like, okay, I guess I'll try. Talking to Crystal Matar actually gave me the ending. So if anyone gets upset with the ending, that's her fault. Um, and then
Totally.
after that, the rest of it just kind of came together once I had the ending. Then I tried to make it into a short story, but it was too plump for that, and I had to expand it out into a novella size, and it fit a lot more comfortably at that.
I love that. What I hear, okay, is I'll say you've mentioned Crystal Matar, which she sent me both of her books in which I've dedicated a month to a few different authors this year. Hers having a whole month because they're chunkers, right?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. So I am going to review in a few different months. That month will belong to certain authors. Hers, she's gotten a whole month. I don't think I've told her that. But I'm excited because, well, I'm going to talk to her soon, so she'll know that. But I've heard from so many people how great her books are. So to gain inspiration from her, man, I don't see how you could go
Yep.
wrong, right?
Yeah. I love Brightwash so much, so I look forward to hearing your thoughts on it when you get to it. And
Yes.
definitely going to get to Brick and Bone this year at some point.
Yeah. So that's book two, right?
I'm a slow reader as well. So like chunky books, I need to like get the right time frame open so that I can do them. And holidays were definitely not it.
Well, so what I mean by slow reading is like once I'm into a book, right? It's not necessarily that I read slow, it's that I had a baby in 2023 and she's 3 months old. And she's kind of coming out of that newborn
Imagine.
stage, right? And yeah, so I'll have some time opening up, and I'm really excited for that because, of course, I name my page book reviews, right? Beard of Darkness book reviews, and I've been doing a lot more interviews, which I thoroughly love, and I'll continue doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just alongside of those will be more video book reviews, so that's what's coming in the near future. And I see I'll throw it back up there. Case Hidden Shelf, who we've mentioned before. Hello, I paused my reading Gam Gam to join for a bit. Thank you very much, Kay. I always want you here and thankful every time you are.
I hope I
Alongside,
make it worth it for you, Kay.
you ain't got to worry about that. You've already made it worth it. I love hearing from authors their inspirations and just how every single author has that something special to add. Um, whether it's part of the process or your inspirations or just anything. I think that for people like me who want to write, I'm after this knowledge, right? And at the very beginning of this thing called YouTube, right? I had no idea what I was after. And anything that contributes to that is wonderful. And so many people agree with that. And I absolutely love that part. Christopher Navo, wonderful channel. I've seen your announcement, by the way, Chris. I'm so excited, bro. You are smart. You do really in-depth book reviews. You talk about books. You do this. You read, and I really enjoy your voice. You've got the wonderful lights in the background. I think you're doing the right thing, man. I can't wait to see you talking with some authors. It's going to be wonderful. Let me look through some of these comments real quick. So, Book Mama 87, which may or may not be my other half, my wife. Kay would be the one for audiobook narration. Her voice is so calming. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. I always
Definitely.
I'm like, it's just so nice and soothing.
J. Patricia Anderson. So I'll answer this and then you answer this, Adam, because I don't know who she's asking. Me, I'm like probably 4 or 5 books at once. What about you, Adam?
This is a hard question for me because sometimes I will read a book and then just set it down depending on the book. Like it's very I'll always have like a technical book going on, but then like that'll just kind of sit there for months as I read more interesting things.
Sure.
And occasionally come back. But kind of continuously I always have like an audiobook going on and then something I'm reading physically. Usually a physical copy. I find reading on Kindle really hard for me. I wish it wasn't, but I try it every now and then. It just kind of makes me struggle more with it.
No.
And then occasionally a third book I'll have going on, or short.
That makes
usually.
That makes a lot of sense. It does. I think maybe you find yourself in the same category as me. I'm like a mood reader. I didn't know what that meant until recently. Excuse me. But yeah, for instance, I'm like Brian Lee Durfee's. It's right here. The Forgetting Moon. I'm reading The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. I'm reading Lost Souls by Ryan Skeffington. I'm reading, a couple others. And it's just like, just depending on the day, right? So that's kind of how I read. My man here, John A. Douglas, who is just one of those guys, man. He's just always supportive. I love his channel, and he always shows wonderful support for my channel. Thank you so much, John A. Douglas. Kay's Hidden Shelf says, thank you, Book Mama. Yes, your voice is just that. I think you did a wonderful job for Rob Lee's Pathlighter. You did like a talking about his book. I don't know what you call it, but it was really, really good. So for those who don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, what is a necromancer?
So a necromancer, kind of in the general sense, is someone who communicates with the dead, typically in the sense of resurrecting them as zombies or whatever. Almost exclusively villains in everything. So I wanted to show a lighter side of someone who raised the dead for good.
What was it that kind of brought you to that? Was it a book? Was it just the idea?
It was just the character idea and trying to, I think, combined with the prompt of unlikely heroes, that I was just like, she can't be bad if she's gonna be like helping someone. So it was trying to find a balance where she was desecrating the dead, but it was in a good way.
No, I love that. I really do, because on face value, we hear necromancer, and most of us that have read fantasy knows what a necromancer is. It's typically seen as like really dark, right? So I love the play on it. I do, because I like going against the rules, right? I like going against those. I don't know if they're rules, if you would say, but we read a necromancer as dark and you're bringing back the dead, and I like to play on that. I really do. For you, so let's start with this. Where did you find your love for literature? Were you young?
I think when I was younger, I had all kinds of like the chapter books. I really enjoyed Magic Treehouse as like really young kid. It was always a race to check those out from our school library, because I'd want to read the next one, but then I'd have to try to get there just in time for it. I enjoyed the Star Wars head chapter books, and like it was Del Toro, I believe it was called. I think that was pretty popular in my day and age. Septimus Heap was a series that I enjoyed after that. And kind of just I had a lot of books that I enjoyed through there. Into high school, a little less, so I got really into video gaming instead. So, and then in college, it tanked a lot. Going through college, I spent all 4 years reading, I think, half of the Game of Thrones books, like barely like any reading at all. But then I picked it back up again because of my wife, who's a huge reader.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of my second resurgence into it was probably because of like Brandon Sanderson. I got really into him, and just like hammered through a lot of his books early on, and then kind of evolved out of that. And then a couple of kind of authors that I really like enjoyed that I wanted to take something from. For indie side, it probably Emma Long, one of the first indie authors that I probably a lot of people read.
Yeah.
She's pretty popular, but she does emotion so well in Sword of Kaigen. And I just really enjoyed how she did it and was like trying to kind of get influence from that for Gam Gam, and channel emotion to that. And maybe surprising one is Ichiro Oda, who wrote One Piece, for those who don't know. Because I absolutely love how he's able to blend humor and emotions so much. Like you can be like laughing your butt off at something that's happening in the show or manga, and then just you're crying over a reindeer that talks. The next moment, like it's just so ridiculous,
No,
but it's just so well done with emotions and everything.
that's special. I feel like
Yeah,
that the
that's what I
ability.
want to channel into my writing is like being able to make people laugh a lot and then just immediately be like crying because of how emotional it gets.
I'll tell you, that's exactly what I'm after, and I think a lot of people too. Somebody that I've read who does that well, maybe not the crying part. I haven't read Sword of Kaigen yet. I've got it. I just haven't made it to it yet. I can't wait. I've heard so many wonderful things about Sword of Kaigen. And then I get so jealous, right, over the Kickstarter version that I was way too late to the game to get.
I
It's
got
just
that.
I was going to ask you, and that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. To make somebody like get emotional, especially the sad emotion where you're crying, or maybe even in like inspirationally like crying. I don't know. Is very special. One that brings laughter to me. One that I cannot contain, and that I will belly laugh at 3 a.m. when I'm reading is Joe Abercrombie. Do you have a lot of experience with him?
He is high on my list, and for whatever reason, I just keep not getting to it. I have First Law
Oh, yeah,
upstairs, yeah, on the shelf. One of these days, I'm grabbing that.
man, I'm telling
Definitely
you,
into it.
he's gonna make you laugh. I think a lot, and because he made me laugh, like, and it was one
Mhm.
of those things. It wasn't like I was expecting to laugh. It was these certain phrases who these people who have watched me for a while don't want to hear the times I've said it so many times. There's this part where the wizard, I can't remember his name, he comes out of the shower and he talks about his slapping fruits. And I laughed so hard that I woke everybody in the house up. And I just didn't see it coming. You guys can dog me in the comments if you want, especially Iamatsuki. He's so tired of hearing that line. But yeah, dude, he just brings it out. Baez, yes, Daniel, thank you. Baez, he's such a good character. But yes, I agree with you. Brian D. Anderson. By the way, me and Brian's going to be doing something really fun. He's been on the channel before, but he's coming with a great idea to me today. I can't wait to have him back on. But that's cool. I like that you're interested in very much the same thing that I am. It's those
Mhm.
emotions. I think that that's what really makes it human for us. We're reading, and what is more human than finding those emotions in a book, right? It becomes an
Yeah.
experience then. Um, so some of the tropes that you find yourself as a reader first loving, what are those as a reader that you love? And then second, what do you like to write the tropes?
Um. Oh yeah, this is a hard one for me because like I'm really I don't know the right phrase for this, but very easy pleased for reading. I'm there's not a lot that I just say I don't enjoy. That's not like I don't know like universally like bad ones and stuff or whatever. But it's hard to say for reading. I usually don't really base off of tropes or like pay attention to tropes too much. I have like a really hard time with just like thinking of them in general. So I don't know if it's totally for writing wise. I don't know if it's totally technically a trope, but I found a weird connection where my current work in progress and Gam Gam both begin with are both kicked off with the deaths of of the main character's father, and I don't know why that one ended up in two stories um, unintentionally, but I noticed it, and that was like, oh, this is strange that it's happened. Won't happen in my third story because it will be a sequel, so the dad will already be dead.
Well, no, I love that. So this is kind of a question that I waited for a little bit longer into the interview to ask, but Burke brought it up. Tell us a little about what you are working on now, and maybe a little bit what's next for you.
Yeah, so I have kind of two things going on this year that are my main focus. Hopefully, or maybe working on more than two things. But what I really want to do is get both Gam Gam 2 uh, off to like editing phase, hopefully even release this year. I'm trying not to rush things because that sounds really stressful. So I'm just taking things easy. That one, I have a draft done, but there's something kind of wrong with it. I understand, like, or that I feel like vibes of it are off, so I have to go through and kind of update and fix. So I'm letting that one sit for a while. And in the meantime, this is the story that got interrupted by Gam Gam. I'm working on what's called Bounty Inc., which is a sci-fi story that was supposed to be a blend of like Legends and Lattes and like bounty hunting in Star Wars, and it shifted completely.
Mhm.
Where it was going to be someone who builds their own bounty hunting organization from scratch and kind of do stuff like that, and then it just transformed into kind of a ridiculous like action adventure one that kind of blends Guardians of the Galaxy and One Piece. So, and it became 150,000 words instead of 50, which it was going to be. So that one exploded a lot. But that's my current one. So yeah, that's it's about someone whose dad dies. He inherits a bunch of money because his dad ran a really terrible company that just profited like super capitalistic. So he just took all the money and ran after his dad died, and then built his own bounty hunting organization, recruited kind of people into it. And then it's about him trying to make it work when typically bounty hunters work alone, and how he can get it to work when they also just want money. So how do you get money from this organization? Um, so yeah, that's kind of my main one that I'm going through right now. I'm taking that one through edits that are going pretty well.
I'm
I
excited.
just started those late December.
So one of the genres that I didn't find, well, I'll tell you, I started in fantasy, and I just really enjoyed epic fantasy and didn't see myself a sci-fi fan at all. I was very wrong. I was very wrong. And to find that you're writing a bigger project that kind of got interrupted, right? It was kind of your bigger project, which is, by the way, bountyinc.com is Adam's website, which is really good. It's got your books, your freebies, your author bio. I do have that scrolling at the bottom. At least I did. Here it is. Hold on. There it is. There it is. All right. It's really good. So I love to hear that. Bounty Inc. So that's going to be the name of the novel. It's going to be a full length novel.
But that one's going to be with a C instead of a K. I thought it was clever to do ink, like printing ink for my company name.
I got
so yeah, I named it after that one since that was my first story. But yeah, Bounty Inc. will be the name of that one.
I love that. I'm really excited because, like I said, didn't think that the sci-fi was going to be something I loved, and in fact, I don't know if I can't stop reading sci-fi. To be honest with you, we were talking a little before we came on about my Christopher Rocchio. Yeah, I had no clue I'd had that experience with Empire of Silence, the first book in the Sun Eater series, and I'll tell you, it's been eye-opening. I'm excited for you to get to it because I want to hear your thoughts, because it's not a quick read. It's very dense. It took me a couple months to get through, but oh my goodness, just how much I enjoyed it. And I think that you will too. I think a lot of sci-fi readers will. Daniel Clauser says, damn, you've got all the Cosmere prints on your wall.
I do. These
Big fan.
were birthday presents from my wife. The others came with one of the Kickstarters. So
you got in time. See, I was late for this. The Kickstarter that Brandon Sanderson did with all the books, of course, that we've seen. The Nightmare Painter and the Sunlit. Yeah, man. I wish I would have gotten that. I came to the scene, if you will, a little bit after that ended. And I was a little sad, to be honest with you. The first Kickstarter that I did get to participate in, which I'm very excited, is Rob J. Hayes's God Eater. I'm very excited.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
looking forward to that one, too. It's a really interesting idea, and I'm excited to see how it
goes. An ambitious project, right?
Yeah.
3, 9 books, dude. He's ambitious, which doesn't surprise me. He's a very prolific writer, and he writes pretty quick. He's got a lot of books out there. He's got experience. It's gonna be fun.
So my wife and I were going through War Eternal on the ebooks. Really enjoying that. I'm on the last one. She finished before me. I think I only have a couple hours left.
There you go. I love it, man. He's dark, but it's epic too, right? So I see that a couple people saying it's freezing. At least not here. It's not freezing. Everything seems.
Yeah, I haven't noticed anything.
Nope, me neither. So we're just gonna keep on trucking. So the last time you read a book that checked all the boxes for you, that you just couldn't talk about this book enough, what was that for you?
I feel like I have two that really hit me that I can think of off the top of my head anyway.
Sure.
That I read and I'm just like, I need everyone I know to read this book. It's so good. Like, and one I mentioned before is Legacy of the Brightwash. Was like definitely up there as one of my favorite books from 2022 and just of recent years. And I just got really obsessed with Gideon the Ninth too. That series.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one. I've reread that one already, which I'm usually don't hit rereads because I feel like I'm like wasting time almost. I kind of hate it, but I'm like, you can reread a book, it's fine. But I like feels like I need to read something new because I already know what happens here.
Sure.
But that one, yeah, I love that series.
So I've heard so many wonderful things about that book in particular, but that series as well. So that's very much something that I'll put on my TBR. I can't wait now. I love to hear that. Brian
also has Necromancy.
Yes, which I'd say I'd shout him out. Well, if I can remember the name of it, my dude, Malthus, Necromancer Unchained by Casey Sutton. was a great read. It was one of my very first reviews. In fact, Casey Sutton came to the house, met my kids and everything. He's such a
Hmm.
nice guy. In fact, it's right here. I'm gonna show it. You're a fan of Necromancers, and this is a this is the debut. Casey Sutton's Malthus Necromancer Unchained. He's a indie author just like you, and it's
I'll have
great.
to
It's great.
add that to my TBR.
Yeah, it's good. Brian says, "Who do you read to pick up some new tricks, turns of phrase, ways to frame dialogue, etc.?"
So my method is read as much as I can that's different. And that actually causes for me a lot of issues continuing series. Like I just want to read, I'm like, I know this series is good. I'm gonna go read this one now. And just like keep picking out more and more. I think I counted it one time. I have like probably 50 ongoing series that I'm not caught up to the last book on. Like so I just try to read as much different books as I can, different author genders, ethnicities, everything, to kind of just get your wider view, because you'll get like a lot of different ways of how things are done, like even the Witcher books because they're translated. You'll see from there, or just different ones by people I read.
And I think that's a wonderful and very valuable thing to say. It's one of the things that I hear makes you a better writer is reading, 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 and you really capture
Mhm.
that with saying what you just did. A little bit of everything. Uh, Trying to keep up as far as ethnicity, race, types of genres, and I think it's a great idea. Ian Montague says, "Why do you write? To say something, to be known, to be read? Is there a reason?"
For me, it started when I absolutely knew what I wanted to do with my life in sixth grade, which was game design and development, which lasted until I found out that it's really hard to get into game design, and for game programmers and stuff like that. And I decided to, and one of the reasons I wanted to do that was like, for me, it was just I would come up with stories that I wanted to tell, and I really enjoyed the medium of video games. So I'm like, I want to be able to create video games, tell these awesome stories like Last of Us and stuff like that. I love story-centric video games. Um, and then I found out it's really hard to get in there, and the industry kind of is terrible, and difficult.
I've heard.
Like at any moment, I could get laid off if I'm at a big company. I'm like, eh. And so I kind of shifted gears. I actually did work with indie game development for a while. One of the people I met used to work at one of the Call of Duty places. I don't remember. And he quit and started his own company. But that kind of fell apart a little bit. So then I just didn't have anything to do for a while. But I still wanted to tell stories because they kept coming to me. So one day I'm like, what if I tried writing? Because that's when I was getting more into reading again. I met my wife at the time, or at the time she was my girlfriend, but I met my wife then. Got into reading more, and I'm like, well, this is a different one to try. So I tried
Well,
that one. I sucked at it for years. It took forever to finish a story, and they all like. I looked back at one of my first early stories, and it's really bad, and I'm like, well, that's good. That means I grew a lot from here.
yes, it kind of leads into the question I'm going to ask you, and it's really I'm being selfish when asking this. I asked this question for me um, because I'm in this process myself. How did you find that process of writing that worked for you? The trials and obstacles that you had to overcome.
Yeah, so at first I just tried to dive into it. I'm like, I have these stories. I'll just put the words down, then the stories will make sense. And it's such a struggle early on because, as someone says in here, they everyone sucks until they don't. Yeah, it's yeah, you suck at it, and you look at it, and you're like, this reads like really terrible, um, and it kind of becomes demotivating. Or you'll like read a book and it'll have magnificent prose, and you're like, well, I'm nowhere near that. And it takes a while to kind of like internalize that you can, and I think I got this from the Writing Excuses podcast. Mary Robinette Kowal was talking about it and how she likes crochet and how you can just crochet, and if you mess up a row, you can undo it. Like, that's fine. I like crocheting. If I have to redo it, I'll just redo the row, because the act of crocheting is what I enjoy, even if I have to redo it. And I think that hit really well with me, and it kind of like clicked where it's like I enjoy telling the story. I enjoy writing it. Yes, the words that I write first might suck, but and it might have been when I got to this point where when I'm retelling the story and re-editing it, I'm still enjoying that, and I'm still enjoying telling the story and making it smooth better. Um, so it's like just knowing that anything I write down now can be fixed later, and kind of with that understanding, being able to like know that the next time I'm around, and I constantly have like a sheet up that's notes on things I need to fix, and I know that I need to fix so that I don't stop and fix them and get bogged down with that. For me, it's I need momentum. I need to keep moving forward. So I'll just like write down, oh yeah, I need to come up with this planet name, or I need to make sure that I'm using the right descriptions for these people or whatever, and kind of continue on. And then on my next round, I'm like, okay, I need to bring this stuff in for my revision and fix it. So
I like the crochet reference because I don't crochet, but I watch my wife, and she is a crochet god. Like, she crochets a hat in like 30 minutes, and I'm like, Jesus,
that's
how? And
my
it's
my wife also, she loves crochet, knitting, cross stitch. She got me into cross stitching, all kinds of crafts.
dude, isn't it amazing like how fast something can come to form? It's like I don't even understand how you did it that fast. Me, I've tried. Look, I have really big hands, and it's just like it doesn't work for me. But I love that that story you told, because I see her do it, and I see her redo these, just like you said, these roads
Hmm.
or that you may not particularly like or need to fix, and it really works well with what you're explaining your writing process, and it makes sense to me, especially seeing this process being done using the uh, reference you did to crochet. I love that, and I think me personally, it's giving enough information on the skeleton without giving too much information to like shackle me with my creative process. And maybe I don't know, maybe I'm making that too difficult. I think a lot of people go through this where it's like you start this process and you have to find that one that works for you. And I love hearing uh, personal processes, and that was explained very well. I can visualize that. I can use that in my personal notes. So thank you. Um,
Yeah.
Brian says, do you think you have settled into your own unique literary voice, or do you feel it is still developing?
Um, I think I've learned a lot from Gam Gam on what I want it to be. I'm sure it's going to develop and kind of evolve from there, but it kind of helped give me a base for it that I know that I want to kind of keep and hold from there. Um, and kind of evolve from that. So I think it's voice is also like one of those, for me it's like one of those hardest things. It's like I can't really explain what it is or how you get it. You just have to get it and you'll get it eventually. Everyone
I,
does. But yeah, I feel like it's a good base if it's not what it'll be.
I love that because you're using some things that you know, some things that you've learned, and some things that you aim to be. And I think it kind of covers all those when speaking of your literary voice. I mean, excuse me. There's not many people where I've asked, "Hey, are you exactly at where you want to be forever?" And almost always, it's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, of course, I'm learning forever, right?"
Hmm.
I love it. And Soul Free Wolf, another wonderful supporter of the channel. So nice to hear these things that others go through it too. Of course, it's like it's the human part of this.
Yeah.
Sometimes people leave that out, and not on purpose, but we're like, okay, we look at authors such as Brandon Sanderson, Mark Lawrence. We look at, um, John Gwynn, anybody that we consider as a successful author, and we're like, we're not there. But at the same time, it's like they started in the exact same place we all do, and that's at the very beginning. It's just that process in which we go through, and those rules that we hear from, the influences that we gain, that we make those changes and grow as a writer, even as a reader or a
Mhm.
reviewer. It applies to all of that.
Yeah, I know Brandon Sanderson has talked about it, how he almost lost his entire career with his second book because it didn't sell well. It started going down into a spiral. So like, yeah, everyone starts somewhere. Obviously, like going the indie route's a little different than going trad. But yeah, was talking about how like yeah, the second book undersold the first book that he wrote. So he started in a spiral downwards, but then his third book way outsold the first one because people liked that one and it spread. So then it kind of salvaged his career. So
Yeah,
everyone kind of starts somewhere and it's just so full of pitfalls and luck to get you going. Because, yeah.
I love that. And Bell too, man. I'm glad you're here, brother. Brian Bell, he's got a wonderful new channel. It's, I think he said like 60 days old or like however many weeks. I always watch his new videos, and he's doing a wonderful thing, and he's excited to buy and read the book. So that's
Thank you very
wonderful.
much.
I like what E.L. Montague says. Everyone's voice matures, but you know where it's there when you can pick out your writing from older works. Those stepping stones, right? Everybody's got those stepping stones. Joe Abercrombie
Hmm.
has them. John Gwynn has
Yeah.
those. Brandon Sanderson has those. It's just part of that process. Um, Timothy Wolf says, one of the advantages of indie is if my books don't sell, no one can fire me.
It's one of the reasons I'm here. I'm like, I have complete control. I don't, for me, it's kind of a place of privilege of my job is fine. I'm like steady, everything. So writing's not going to be my career. It's kind of my monetized hobby and something I just enjoy doing. So if I never become super, super wealthy off my writing, which odds are I wouldn't, that's fine with me as long as I see like, yeah, people enjoying the book. That's enough for me. So yeah, that's definitely one of the pros. I
Love it.
can control everything.
J.
Yep,
Patricia
low pressure.
Anderson, who's wonderful, man. Just has one of
Yes.
the most beautiful prose ever. And I'm getting ready to dive into her. Well, I read Your Blood and Bones first, and I'm getting ready
I got
to
an
dive.
early copy of that.
Ooh, oh my gosh,
Jackie, is one of the people who read an early copy of Gam Gam and beta reader and gave me feedback on it.
that is so
Um,
cool,
yeah,
man. Did it make you feel like it made me feel, and everybody else? I'm sure, just like you could feel it, right? The whole time, you could just feel it.
yeah.
There's not many books like that. There's not many books that can make you feel a certain way. And me and my wife
Hmm.
both loved that novella. So yeah, I think she's a great person to share your book with. And I'm excited to dive into The Daughters of Tip. I'm very excited. And it's a chunker too, which is one of the most attractive qualities of a book I can name. I love a chunker.
I I love them, but they're like so hard for me to read, so I still haven't read that. But it is like one of the ones I want to get to when I get into the reading mood that I can like hammer out a chunky book. Um,
Yes, absolutely. I
yeah.
totally get that. Like at the like, I love them, but I totally agree with you. You have to kind of have that time, that space, the TBR. I totally get it. Um, but I'm very, very excited. Are you a pantser, outliner, or other? Could kind of explain your
Um,
process.
yeah, I thought originally I was an outliner. But then I would try to write an outline and it would just get more and more vague and then I just wouldn't know what to do. Or if I made a really specific outline, it would feel like I wrote the book when I didn't. So I actually found, but if I try like pantsing it, I get lost and struggle. So
Mhm.
like I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm drowning. So I'm very much like in the middle. I can do a light outline. Usually what I do is it's more descriptive at the beginning and then extremely vague at the end. For Bounty Inc., mine was like, they're going to do this, 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 this. And then this is going to kind of happen. Big fight, end. Like that was kind of like how it evolved. Like it was really like, super vague at the end. And then I'm able to kind of, as I go, revisit and add more description in the end when I know where the story is going a little better. It also changes a little bit because for Gam Gam, when I knew the ending, I knew where it had to go. So then I was able to build out scenes, and it's a lot shorter. So it's a lot easier to be like, this is what needs to happen. So now my progress kind of has evolved where I'll do quick, important scenes outline. Like this scene has to happen, then this one, then this one, then this one. Throughout as much of the story as I can. And when it gets near to the end, I'll get like bigger gaps between those scenes. And then when I do my first draft, I'm hopping from one to the next. And that part is pants, so to speak, but then I know where I'm going with it. So it's easier.
That
And
makes
that's
sense.
kind of seems to be the one. And it keeps evolving for me because what I did with Bounty Inc. to start technically is different than what I did with Gam Gam, is different than what I did with Gam Gam 2, is going to be different than what I do with my next one and everything. So it's constantly still even evolving for me. I don't know which one works best for me, but that's kind of where I'm at right now for it.
So, kind of relating with you a little bit, because we're talking about our processes, right? I started.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a lot of authors that were pantsers, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to take myself seriously unless I'm a pantser. One being my favorite read of 2023, my favorite indie book of 2023, which was John Palladino's Trials of Ashmore. He is a
Mm-hmm.
pantser through and through. Dude, I absolutely loved this book. I cannot wait to get to book 2. So I was like, being one of my first influences when I started this YouTube channel, I'm going to try what he does. Nope, I am not a pantser because this is where I get messed up. I write and I feel like it's going good, and then the next day I go back, right? I've forgotten everything. You get to like chapter 20, okay, and you just can't just reread everything and then start writing again. So this is kind of where I am at the moment, which is that basic skeleton, but also giving myself enough creative freedom to find myself filling in those spaces between scenes, like kind of what you said,
Mm-hmm.
scene to scene. So I love that because I can't write every day and keep it cohesive if I only pants. I have to have that skeleton. I like what Brian says. He says, being a pantser is fine, but you still need to keep track of what you've done, particularly in a long epics. Okay, I totally get that. Maybe that's the route that I need. I'm kind of experimenting at the time. Because like I said, I feel like if I get too technical with the outline, I'm not excited. But if I strictly try to keep it, pantsing 100% without writing down, this is the skeleton, this is the beginning, middle, and end, and then getting there with that creative freedom, I think that's where I'm at. Can you relate a little bit to that?
Yeah, because yeah, that's exactly kind of how I'm doing it too. Yeah, I treat my outlines as guidelines. They're like, you should maybe go this way, but if it doesn't work for you, you don't have to. So like for my Bounty Inc., I think the back like 2/3 I scrapped, and then one day I just like rewrote it all because I got there and I'm like, this does not, we diverge. This doesn't match at all with everything I've done. So
So you kind of get that skeleton, but give yourself that creative freedom to
Yeah.
get there.
Yep, modify it as needed, knowing that like this is to just kind of help get me started because I know the front of my story is better than I know the end when they're longer. And then
Man,
yeah, just use it to find
I
it
absolutely,
eventually.
I do. Excuse me. I love that because it really speaks to, I think, a lot of people. I'm going to throw up what Tim said. Pansic is awesome. My characters have no idea what's going on, and neither do I. This is what I've come to envy from authors that I speak to. It's like, I love that you give yourself a rough idea of where you're going, but at the same time, and again, I've said this like 10 times now, but I'm kind of really hitting it home because it's working for me. It's like you give yourself that creative freedom, which I think is so important with writers because we're creative. That you're not holding yourself down with straps, right? You're not, this is exactly where I'm going. This is exactly where I'm going. And that may work for some people, not me. And I like hearing from people like Tim because, man, I think he's a pretty good writer. And you'll find that out once you start his first book because it's fun. It's very fun. Yeah, that's what I would say, fun. And I want that same feeling to come across to people who read what I write. So kudos to what you've done already, man. There's so many people who talk about your novella, and I think that's awesome. I really look up to it.
Thanks.
Of course.
Yeah, it's been crazy because I expected like 10 people to get it and like it, and maybe yeah, I'm still kind of waiting for that 1-star scathing review to hit and send my confidence tumbling. But
I think that's like the human part of us, right? That's always so self-critical, or at least for me, I'm speaking for me. I can't speak of anybody else, but it's like, oh, I couldn't ever do something that cool, right?
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of us kind of feel that way. Even the best of us, even those Joe Abercrombies and Brandon Sandersons, who, especially like Brandon Sanderson, you hear his story, who I find you're very familiar with. The guy was working a nighttime hotel job and had written so many books and just kept getting kind of denied, be more like George R. Martin. And he just kept doing his thing and plowing away at it.
I think he wrote 11, I think, books before they sold.
It's a lot of books, folks. It's a lot of books. They're big too, man. Everything he writes is pretty big. So we kind of touched on, we really touched on what you're working on and what's next for you. So we'll get to this first. Where are you socially, as far as social media? Where can people kind of watch what you're doing, and where can people buy the book that you have out, the novella, and continue to find what you publish?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter as the Adam Holcombe. That's probably where I'm most active. Spend too much time there. I do have an Instagram that I occasionally go to, but I'm really terrible at like figuring out what to upload for pictures, so that one gets neglected. I'm trying to be better, but we'll see. Same username. And Blue Sky I'm also on. That one I haven't done too much, or I go there occasionally, but every social media link can be found at the website bountyinc.com in my about page. It'll have links to everything. Gam Gam is available in Kindle Unlimited, on Kindle Store, and then physically anywhere you buy books. So I recommend like Silverstones if you want to order it there.
Yes. Yeah, hit up Kevin. I'll tell you a real quick story. Not many places can you find Chris Rocchio's second book, Howling Dark. My man Kevin had it. I got the last copy. I'm sorry for you guys that don't get it, but it's on the way. It's on the way, and Kevin had it. Amazon didn't. So anytime you can support a small business such as Silverstone Books, man, absolutely recommended. And thank you, E.L. Montague, for bringing this up, because I know this through Kay's channel. Tell us about the SFNCS.
Yeah, so that's the I don't even remember what they all stand for. Also known as Sphinx.
Thanks.
Also Baby Bow.
Yeah.
Which, if anyone didn't know, this competition came into existence because I wrote Gam Gam, and then it was publishing right around the time Spiffbo was going to be, and Spiffbo has a 40,000 word limit at the bottom half, and Gam Gam's like 30. So I complained, I whined, I'm like, there should be a competition for novellas. And then Nathan's Fantasy Reviews, he just took my tweet and was like, this is a great idea. Who wants to do this with me? And just gathered a bunch of people and was able to figure out bloggers that wanted to be judges and everything and kind of put it together. And so, yeah, I feel honored that I accidentally created this competition. And then I was able to get into it, thankfully. I said I should have gotten automatic entry, but I still had to submit like everyone else. But yeah, I got into it, and then it's been nothing but stressful. Just waiting for reviews to come in and seeing where it is. And yeah, it was very stressful and exciting to find out I made 2 semifinalists.
Yes.
I remember my team like telling me in the morning that, or the team that was judging my group telling in the morning that it's like, oh, it'll be posted at like 6 p.m. my time, and I'm like, I'm like, how am I supposed to work today?
Right.
And then when it finally came in, I just like went to my wife. I'm like, they released it. Let's check. And then it was really anticlimactic because it was the first book. I was like scrolling down. It was the first one to pop up of their 5 choices. Yeah, so that was pretty exciting. And then I found out like a month and a half later, they choose the next one. So I'm like, I'm not ready to go through this again.
I love it though. Hey, you know what? Because it's like it keeps that little bit of you. Excuse the music from my clock. Sorry. Still playing Christmas music. We're way out of date, people. Anyway, yeah. So J. Patricia Anderson, Adam's tweet started as Sphinx, I'll call it, because then I'll mess those letters up. And I love that. That's so cool. And she was there at the very beginning. She saw it all.
Yes, she helped me. Yeah, come up with I don't know, like support the name Baby Bow for sure. I think Crystal again, Matara was the one who came up with Baby Bow. I started with Spiff Baby, but Baby Bow just rings way better.
It does. I have to say, it does.
Someone did say, Steve said you should have bargained to automatically win. That was my plan. If I was the one who had to start it. I would have just had it been a 1-book entry, and the entry was chosen by me and voted on by me, and then I would have won it. But this is way more stressful.
This is kind of coming full circle really quick. I have to say this. I talked to Steve a little before I talked to J. Patricia Anderson on my channel here. And I hadn't started reading Steve Westenra's books yet. And she was talking about his really big book. I can't remember the name. I'm so sorry, Steve. But anyway, J. Patricia Anderson.
Wings of Ashtroth?
That's it.
Am I messing up the ending? I don't remember.
I know what you mean. There's so many names, right? But I know exactly when I see that cover that it's his. And it's going to be covered on my channel this year. Yes,
Ashtaroth.
There it is.
I was right. Okay, good.
Ashtaroth. There it is. Wings of Ashtaroth. She talked me into that one because he's got a couple, okay? and Timothy talked me into the first one. I'm so bad with these names. Please put it up, Tim. It's like it's a name like I'm waiting, Tim. I'm totally putting the pressure on you. He read it. He put it on my Discord, and ever since he did, I've been wanting to read it. It wasn't Wings of Astaroth. It was like Tyler Kyle. Yes, Tyler Kyle. It's got more of a name than that, but I'm excited. Yes, erstwhile Tyler Kyle. Yes, that's it. Thank you, guys.
That one,
anyway.
Yeah, definitely high on my radar.
That's it, Timothy. You're the man, dude, and you're clutch too. That was quick because listen, guys, there's like a 5 or 10 second like time period where he like hits enter and then it comes up on the chat, so he's on it. Erstwhile Tyler Kyle. Yeah, absolutely. He put that on my Discord. Steve, I'd love to have you. It's in along with Adam's links and anybody who I talk to, their links in there. But the Discord's in there. I'd love for you to be in there when I read it. Yes, I'm very excited to read both Erstwhile Tyler Kyle and The Wings of Astaroth, especially because it's a chunker. That's what she said. It's like huge.
It is.
So thank you for being here, Steve. You're the man. So, man, I just have to say, you've given really good insights to, particularly, and again, I'm being selfish, when I'm going through myself. What I hope is there are other people out there, which I know there is. Maybe I just use that as like a coping mechanism, but I know there is. Other people going through similar issues, and the knowledge is so good. So these little bits that you've given us about your writing process, especially in your inspirations, I love. And I'm so glad that you shared with us. And I just want to thank you for letting me borrow you for a little bit, Adam.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun, so thanks for having me too.
Man, of course. And we had to reschedule. He's been super cool, been very flexible. So again, Adam Holcombe, I appreciate you. Everybody go read A Necromancer Called Gam Gam. I know I am starting that tonight. Everybody else, check it out. Jim McCleary, where's he at? There he is. Fear the Beard, people. Come on now. He came up with that. My wife came up with a wonderful design I'm sending him and his wife. She's a graphic designer, so I'm excited for that. Adam, thank you. Thank you for the guys and gals that have been here live. Thank you for you guys that will watch in the future. And we will see you next time. So tomorrow, who am I talking to? One moment. I forget, right? Oh, K.E. Andrews, Hills of Heather and Bone. K.E. Andrews, Hills of Heather and Bone. She wrote that. And
yeah, we both
that's
had
another
Necromancer books released within about a week.
Yes.
Oh,
this is going to be so fun.
Jackie wants to see the sword.
The sword, yes. Yes, break it out. You know, I had it written down, and I'm so glad because look, where did you get that?
Yeah, so this is actually kind of not to keep hammering on, but a Brandon Sanderson inspired story. I stole from him, but when I got married, that is my marriage sword. I got my wife a sword. That might actually be my wife's. They're the exact same. And myself a sword, and then all of my groomsmen's. I got swords that they opened up at our rehearsal dinner, and one of them had a young child at the time, and his wife was bridesmaid, and he was my groomsman. And I just remember her just yelling, "Adam, we have a child!" Like,
yeah.
I'm like, then put it in a closet.
That's amazing.
Your child can learn how to use a sword.
Yeah, you there's videos. Look, we read books about it. Just post, right? And all that fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
There's fun stuff we can all learn with a sword. And I meant to ask about that. I put it on my list. And who was it?
It was Jackie. Patricia Anderson messaged me.
Jackie, of course. The best, Jackie.
But yeah, my best man uses his as a self-defense for burglars in the night when he randomly wakes up and just
Oh,
grabs it and runs out into the living room to see if anyone broke in.
I have to say, since we're both fans, and I already know I'm a fan of her books before reading them, but you're a fan after reading them. Crystal Matar, when she sent me her first two books, I said, "Look, I know I'm going to love this book, but I'm keeping it next to my front door just in case I ever have a burglar, because I'm going to knock the shit out of anybody with your books. Like the books are huge, like so. I'll send you the pictures. Yeah, so we'll be doing that. Hopefully, nobody breaks in, but if they do, Crystal, I'm
Yeah,
grabbing
it'd
your
be a
book.
shame. It'd be a shame to get blood on her book.
It would. It would. Again, guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, guys that were here live. Thank you for watching the those who will watch in the future. Much appreciated. I've had so much fun. I'll be talking with K.E. Andrews, the author of Hills of Heather and Bone,
Heather?
tomorrow at 9 p.m. So catch us here and looking forward to then. Adam, this has been awesome.
Thanks. I agree. I had a good time.
See you guys.
See ya.